put me down.
He does not like the front way.
No, he does not. He does not. I mean, I thought he did what he had to do and won the fight. Didn't absorb any damage at all.
I can't walk. Get a stool.
And as he is wont to do, he goes in the corner.
You need a stool, Shane? Huh? You need a stool? No, I'm good. You good?
So this crowd will walk out of here probably not completely ecstatic. Here is the knockdown in the third round that probably sealed the deal for Manny Pacquiao. And you can see the stunned expression on the face of Mosley. And then the 10th round non-knockdown of Manny Pacquiao. And called the knockdown. Pacquiao said, no, really? And then he just kind of smiled, but it was not a knockdown. It was not a punch thrown. We saw on the replay. Of course, Kenny Bayless doesn't have benefit of the replay, and we do. But, he stepped on Pacquiao's foot and then pushed him, and that's what caused the knockdown. So the two have been great friends all along. Exchanged pleasantries at the end of it, but there was nothing pleasant about the 12 rounds as Manny Pacquiao completely dominated this fight to the point that, quite honestly, it wasn't a very exciting fight. He just took all the fight away from Mosley. I think Mosley realized after that knockdown there was nothing he was going to be able to do. And Pacquiao did what he had to do through punches and combinations, as he is wont to do. I would probably estimate he threw 5 times as many punches, maybe more than that, as his opponent did. And it's a complete victory for him, although I don't think it's one he's going to want to put into a time capsule necessarily, but it takes two to make a fight. So now everybody will ask what's next for Manny Pacquiao. There is talk of a Marquez fight, and he'll worry about that when the time comes. But once again, he had a great training camp. He looked like he could go another 10 rounds probably. And Shane Mosley at 39 years of age, we asked the question, was this the last hurrah? And you would have to think that perhaps it was just that. So a complete win for Manny Pacquiao, and he wins this championship, holds this championship at 147 pounds. And it's really hard to imagine that in his first fight, he fought at 105 pounds. So he has come that far. He won his first championship here. You're calling that fight right in this building. He won the featherweight championship in what was then considered to be a surprise, and that was probably the last surprise that Manny Pacquiao offered up. He is the complete fighter. He is. There's just no argument that he is pound for pound the best fighter around. And here is Jimmy Lennon Jr. to make it official.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of action, we have a unanimous decision. Here are the score totals. Judge at ringside, Glenn Trowbridge scores about 119 to 108. Dave Moretti sees it 120 to 108. And Dwayne Ford scores about 120 to 107. All three in favor of the winner. And still the WBO welterweight champion of the world, Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao.
So a no doubt about it victory for Manny Pacquiao to retain his welterweight title. His wife Jinky never had an anxious moment in this fight, and smiles at her husband as while it was 12 rounds, I mean that in itself is not an easy thing, but a very easy victory for him. And you can tell by the expression on his face, he always talks about how he wants to please the crowd, how that's what he's really in the entertainment business, and I'm sure in his mind he felt like he didn't really entertain as well as he might have been able to. But again, it takes two, and the other half of this matchup tonight just either wasn't able or wasn't willing, but for whatever reason, he was completely outclassed, looking every part of the 39-year-old fighter. So the victory to Manny Pacquiao, and we will see Manny again, I'm sure, in just a few months. First round, not much action. It was a feeling out round largely, but Manny Pacquiao going downstairs, working the body, and that's what I thought gave him the first round. There were just a couple of good shots to the body, and I thought that was the difference in the first round. In round three, that's where the fight changed completely, I believe. A sharp left hand, it dropped Mosley. Mosley looked around like, where am I? What happened? That was not supposed to happen. The third round was supposed to be my round. Well, not only wasn't the third round his round, none of the rounds were his round on two judges' cards, despite the fact that Kenny Bayless called the knockdown of Manny Pacquiao in one of those rounds. So a dominant performance for him. He just kind of did what he had to do. Freddie Roach imploring him to throw combinations. You saw a pretty good shot right there. It lifted the leg of Mosley. Mosley was never in this fight, not for a moment. That is the non-knockdown. But two of the judges, as we said, just chose to ignore it and say it wasn't a knockdown. And so I'm giving this round to Manny Pacquiao anyway, even though I don't think you're really supposed to do that. But there was no question about it. It didn't have anything to do with the outcome of the fight. And on the three judges' cards, more than unanimous. One judge making it 119 to 108. The other two judges giving all 12 rounds to Manny Pacquiao, and one of them, in fact, making it 120 to 107. So a dominant victory for the champion, and now you just have to turn your attention to what comes next for him. He's motivated with every fight. He's been motivated, he said, from day one. That's what Freddie Roach told us. And in this particular training camp, Freddie said he usually starts him out running on the flats because Manny might not be quite ready to get into serious training. But he said from day one, they were running hills in this training camp, and it paid off really well for Manny Pacquiao. As we said, it looked as though he could fight another 10 rounds. He said, and he was very candid about this when he talked to us, we asked Manny Pacquiao, have you ever been less than 100% for any fight? And he said, yes, I was for Diaz, and I was for Morales 1. I was less than 100%. That's the way Manny Pacquiao is. He's very candid. You ask him a question, he gives you an answer. He thought that he would be troubled by the hand and foot speed and the power of Shane Mosley. That never did materialize. And we told you about distractions. We asked him about, the fact that, of course, he's in government in his native Philippine Islands. He's a member of Congress there. He's a singer. He's got a singing group. He's got public appearances that he makes one after another. He's a family man. And we asked him about the distractions, and I mentioned this during the fight, but what he told us, he says, distractions are always there if you allow them to be distractions. Obviously, he does not, and he trained the same way for this fight as he has going back to when he was a kid. We asked him about how you always go into camp and always come out of camp in absolutely the best possible physical shape, and he says, well, when I was a little kid, he said, I used to get up and I used to run. He said, and then I used to train. He said, and then I went to work as a construction worker, and then when I was done working as a construction worker, I came back and I trained some more. So he said, I'm not doing anything different now, except that I'm not doing construction work. So he's always ready to fight. He was ready to fight in this fight. He made no doubt about it. He took the fight away from Shane Mosley, whatever fight there was in Shane Mosley. And again, we asked that question, is this the last hurrah for Shane Mosley? And I think most observers who just saw this 12 rounds of beating that Shane Mosley took from Manny Pacquiao would say, yes, this was the last hurrah. Great champion, and he was introduced by Jimmy Lennon Jr. as a future Hall of Famer, and I don't think there's any question but